Yes, good morning. I hope you guys are doing good. Let us continue with the instruction set discussion. So last class we started with the the what do you call jump instruction. Just a second, I'll post this and this one somewhere here. Okay, yeah, here we go. Okay. Okay. Yes. I think we can start. No problem. No, because okay. So let us start. Okay. So jump instruction. Last class, no, we started with the discussion on jump instruction. So we understood that there are three types of jump instructions. They are defined as they're called as relative jump, short absolute jump, and long absolute jump. So relative jump means with respect to program counter. Um, just a second. It is on the line. It may not admit in case. Okay. Okay. So jump instruction with respect to okay. Okay. So with respect to PC, um, as, so PC points to the next instruction next to the jump instruction. So just a second, somebody's on the line. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what's that? Is okay. Jump instruction. So with respect to jump that replaces program counter content with a new address that is greater than 127. Somebody's on the line. That's okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that we discussed in the last class. Yeah. So in something like this. So when program microcontroller is executing an instruction, so there is a jump instruction here. So with respect to this jump instruction, somebody's on the line. Okay. Okay. So sorry. Yeah. So jump instruction. So when jump instruction is being executed, microcontroller will be pointing to next instruction. So if you take this as lower address, that is starting from, let us say, for example, 0000. This is the higher address range. Okay, it is a convention, not necessarily that we need to take a lower address at the bottom, not necessarily, just a convention. We should understand the concept, that's very important. So lower address to higher address, the instructions are loaded from lower address to higher address. So when jump instruction is being executed, PC will be pointing to next instruction. So PC will be pointing somewhere here. So with respect to PC, there is the address appointed by PC. Um, okay, so in one direction it's going to be 128, in another direction it's going to be 127. Okay, so actually what I've written, this diagram is for this condition. Okay, so as I explained in the last class, just a second, somebody's on the line. Okay, so diagram is for this diagram indicates this is the lower address. Okay. Just a second, because so there is, okay. We are going to note on the attendance. Hold on, somebody it's 55 now. Give me a minute, because I need to note on the attendance also. Okay. Wait. So it says already 10 minutes into the class, so okay. 56, 57, okay. So this is number bigger than 57, let us. Okay. Oh yeah. So jump instruction, we're not able to jump from here, So this is the lower address, this is the higher address. So so this is the jump instruction. PC is pointing to next instruction. This is the jump instruction. So with respect to PC, as we discussed in the last class, if it is in this direction, it is 128. Why 128? Because jump is also included. If it is in this direction, jump means the target address. If it is in this direction, ahead of the jump instruction, it is only 127, because jump instruction is already executed. It's already considered. Okay, so that is what is called as a relative, because it is with respect to PC, content of PC. Okay. So next type, okay. So what is the advantage of relative jumps? Only 1 byte jump address needs to be specified in the 2's complement form. That is for jumping ahead, the range of 0 to 127, and for jumping back there is a -1 to -128. Okay. So what is this minus? Okay. So in this diagram, if you observe, guys, with respect to PC, just now as I explained, so this is the jump instruction. Jump instruction. Sorry, I need to write down. So let us say this is the jump instruction. Okay. So this is PC pointing. PC is pointing to next instruction. Okay. So if you consider PC as the reference, that means it is 0. I mean, 0th point, starting point. Jump instruction is -1. Next previous instruction is -2. Like this, it can take up to a maximum of -128. -128 means it can take jump of 128 locations. 128 bytes means 128 because one location is 1 byte. So 1 byte. So 128 byte, we can say 128 bytes are 128 locations. Okay, locations. Okay. So with respect to PC, if it is in this direction, forward jump. With respect to jump instruction, if it is in this direction, so this is backward jump. Why? Because program is stored like this, in this direction. Program is stored in this direction. That is from lower address to higher address. So this is the lower address, this is the higher address. So this is a backward jump. So we are going back in the program. We are going to previous instruction which is already executed. Okay, if it is forward jump, that is which the instructions which are yet to be executed. So that if you consider that instruction, PC corresponds to 0. That is the reference. Since jump instruction is already covered from 0 to 127. Of course, total it is still 128, but still we can understand that jump instruction is already covered. It is one instruction less in case of forward jump, Okay, but when it is a backward jump, it is a negative address. That means it has to go back in the address. So that negative address is represented using 2's complement. How to calculate negative address we'll see later. That I'll discuss later. So forward jump fine, because forward jump it is a positive address. It is a that will not be an issue. That will not be a problem. Okay. Backward jump is is not a problem for a compiler anyway, because it is going to you know it's going to calculate two's complement. It's going to find the address. Very simple. Okay, so there is a there's an advantage in the sense, because it's a short jump range of only 128 bytes. It is faster than compared to instructions which take a long jump. Okay, we'll discuss that also. Okay. Okay, guys, here we go. Almost close to 15 minutes to the class. But this is this admission is a problem. Okay. Okay, fine. Here we go. Okay. So we have 58 now. Let me take a screenshot. Just a second. 58 in the. Okay. Here we go. Yes. Is it 59? See, I'm worried about I'm not able to concentrate, So extremely sorry for this. Oh, it's that's okay. No issues. Okay. 58 is, okay. Okay. So that's about the advantage in the sense shorter ranges. Okay. Shorter means it is faster. Jump is faster. Okay, because it is only shorter range, the address which specifies the target location is formed using only 1 byte. Okay, so the size of the instruction is very smaller. There is a number of bytes which is used to represent instruction is only no, very small. It is only 2 byte. One is the instruction, then another is the target address. Okay, so specifying only 1 byte reduces the size of the instruction and speeds up the program. Okay, that means the complete instruction is specified using only 1 byte. I said 2 bytes. Sorry, it is only 1 byte. Okay, only 1 byte represents the target address. It's very simple. I mean, it is easy on the compiler. Okay, so compiler can easily manage the what you call the instruction. Okay, stored in the memory. The program with relative jumps can be relocated without reassembling to generate absolute jump address. Okay, that means it can be relocated without in assembler. There are the compiler does various operations. Okay, so whenever the memory content changes, it needs to relocate the address. It needs to relocate the target address. Okay, so as the target address changes, it needs to as the program location changes, it needs to find the target address. It is very easy in case of a short jump, that is a relative jump, because it's only 128 byte range or 128 locations. So it makes simple for the compiler. Okay, but a disadvantage, short jump range. Okay, so the target should be within 128 in backward direction jump or 127 in the forward direction jump. So there's a restrictions. Okay, for a bigger program, 128 locations range may not be sufficient. Okay, so in that case we have to go for a higher range. Okay, so what are the instructions which support relative, which follows relative jump? Okay, short jump, jump if carry, jump if no carry. This we'll discuss all this. We'll discuss each one in detail. Jump bit, bit locations, jump if not bit locations, jump if bit is set to 1 and clear the carry, CJNE compare jump not equal, DJNZ decrement jump not 0, jump if 0, jump if not 0. Okay, these are the instructions which supports relative jump. Okay, there's 128 byte locations. Okay. Okay, this will instructions will again will take up one detail little later. Okay, let us not go to that instruction right now. So let us complete this jump range. Okay, so short absolute jump. So another possibility is that so in this case 11 bits of the absolute jump addresses are needed. Okay, that means okay, so in this case what happens, the complete memory is treated as a pages. Let me check whether it is given in this yes, correct, here it is. Okay, there is a relative jump is though short jump is nothing but is jmp. Okay, I'll come back to this diagram later. Okay, so in this case what is short jump? Okay, because in this case what happens, in the short jump, short absolute jump. Okay, basically it is an absolute jump. It is termed as absolute jump. What is absolute jump? The complete memory, yes, it's something like this. The complete ROM space. This is the ROM space. Okay, the complete ROM space. Okay, so guys, let us say this is the internal ROM space. Of course, let us say it's around 64 kilobytes, for example. My maximum memory that can be supported by the internal ROM space is 64. Let us assume maximum of 64 kilobytes. Okay, this 64 kilobyte memory is divided into set of 2 kilobytes memory. It is not divided, but compiler treats. It's not that it is physically divided like that. It treats memory as a what is known as a 2 kilobyte memory, as a group of 2 kilobytes memory, and each 2 kilobyte memory is called as a page. Each 2 kilobyte memory is called as a page. Okay, so if you divide 64 kilobyte into 2 kilobyte pages, we get 32 pages. If each page is 2 kilobyte, then we get 32 pages out of 64 kilobyte. If one page is equal to 2 kilobyte, if one page is equal to 2 kilobyte. Okay, fine. Now to represent 2 kilobyte, let us say I'll take one 2 kilobyte memory. Let us say this is the 2 kilobyte memory. Okay, so this is what 2 kilobyte memory. Now in this 2 kilobyte memory, what happens, is that okay. So how to access this 2 kilobyte? Okay, so what is the address size, guys? In 8051 microcontroller, the program counter is used to point to internal ROM location. Okay, and the program counter is 16-bit in size. Out of 16-bit, okay, out of 16-bit, sorry, I'm not able to write it properly here. Okay, 11 bits are used to represent address. 11 bits are used to represent address. I'll write somewhere here. I'll take another page. Okay, so out of 16 bits, let us say this is the PC program counter. So out of somebody's on the line, I don't know, just a second in case. Okay, it's taking, it's always time consuming. Okay, so let's have somewhere here. Okay, here it is. Okay, out of 16 bits of the program counter, this is 0 to 15. Okay, lower 10 bits. Okay, there is 0 to 10. There is lower sorry, not 10 bits, 11 bits. Lower 11 bits are used to represent address within the pages. Okay, what about the left out 5 bits? Okay, from 11 to 15, left out 5 bits, that is total 16 bits. Left out 5 bits are used to represent number of pages. Okay, used to represent number of pages. How does it work, guys? 2 power 5. What is 2 power 5? 32. That means 64 kilobyte memory, if it is divided into 32 pages, we require 5 bits to represent each page. Total 32 page. We require 5 bits to represent 32 page. So 5 bits represent 32 pages, and 11 bits represents address within each page. Okay, so thereby, so with this understanding, so this absolute jump, okay, considers 11 bits of the program counter as the address within the page. Okay, So 64 kilobytes. Okay, this is we discussed hexadecimal address. So now, so thereby what happens is that address range. Okay, what will be the address range? Okay, address range starts from 0. There is it's only 11 bits. It starts from 00. It goes up to 1fh. It goes up to 1fh address. So thereby it can be from 0000 one page. So there are totally 32 pages. So first page address range is 00 to 00000 to 07ffh. Okay, this is first page. Let us call it as first page. Second page, what is the address range? Because it is something like this, just now I showed in the this page is how to go. Yeah, this is the page. Okay, so guys, in just now I said, this is the, let's say for example, this is the first page, second page, third page, fourth page, something like this. In this case, the first page address is in the range of 0000 to 07ff. That is, so first page is will be starting from 0000 to 07ffh. That is the first page address range. Okay, next page address range starting from 08002. Okay, next address I don't remember, 0fffh. Okay, so next address range is 0fffh. Okay, like this, each page will have a starting address and ending address using 11 bits of the program counter. Okay, so that's what represented here. So for a total of 32 pages, okay, there are these are the address ranges in case of a absolute jump. Okay, yeah. So it can be seen that, okay, upper 5 bits, out in the PC, this is what I explained. Upper 5 bits represents page number, and 11 bits, lower 11 bits represents the address within the page. Okay, so to access address with next, it's something like, we identify address, some locality. Okay, Rajanagar, in that some main road, 8th main road, something like that. In that some block, something like that. So for to find out the proper address of a location, we need what is known as page number. First, we require page number. For example, let's say there is one location here. So for that, we require two things. One is the page number, and the other is the address of that particular location. In case of a absolute jump. Okay. Okay. So what are the various absolute jumps? Instructions used in 8051 microcontroller. There are two jumps: A call and A jump. AJMP. Okay. So this, since it is a 16-bit address, the length of the instruction is 2 bytes. Okay, because one address 16-bit address, the complete PC address is used. Okay, so we have to specify. So if this is PC, it has 2 bytes, lower byte as well as upper byte. Okay, so this totally represents one complete address location. So we require 2 bytes to represent absolute jump. Okay, so this is quite heavier than the relative jump. Relative jump is very small. Okay. Yes, next is what is known as a long jump, long absolute jump call. Okay, so in this case, what happens is the jump can be anywhere within the memory. Okay, so say what happens in case of that I'll discuss with the diagram. Okay, in long jump, what happens is jump can be anywhere from any location to any location in the memory. Okay, so it can take any jump, it can jump anywhere within the 64 kilobytes of memory. That's why it is called as a long jump. Okay, so since it is a long jump, the number of bytes in the operational code is 3 bytes. The length of the operational code is 3 bytes. Okay, so the instructions which are used in long jump is LJMP, LCall. This LCall is a subroutine call. We'll discuss that. Okay, LCall, LJMP. The LJMP is a jump instruction. Okay, JMP at A plus DPTR. That's also possible. Okay. So these are the, okay, and this jump is not relocatable. So it is not, first of all, it is jumping anywhere within the memory. Say, for example, it is, say if it is a relative jump, let us say relative jump range is within 128 bytes. 128 bytes. This can be relocated anywhere within the memory, possible, because 128 bytes out of 64 kilobytes, sufficient space we can relocate. If it is 64 kilobyte and the memory is only 64 kilobyte, how can we relocate the complete memory? Not possible. Okay, so long jump is not relocatable. Okay, It's not possible. Okay. Yeah, but this is relocatable. That is what you call so absolute jump can be relocatable because it is within the page. That's all. Okay. So jump instructions are of two types. Okay, guys. Before we go to the types of jump instruction, observe this diagram, guys. I hope this diagram is visible. I mean, it is how to. I'll reduce this. Okay, somewhat reduce this further. Okay, hopefully this diagram is visible, guys. Okay, so this is the lower address. Observe this. This is the lowest address. This is the highest address. This is the internal ROM space. So the programs are stored starting from lower address to higher address. Always, it is not like it will start from higher address. Not possible. Okay, compiler will always start storing the instructions from the lower address to higher address. So three types of jumps we saw. One is the relative jump, absolute jump, and what is known as long jump. Okay. So the example for relative jump is SJMP instruction, short jump instruction. Okay. So if observe this, guys, this is the short jump instruction. So these are the various short jump instructions available in 8051 microcontrollers. Okay. So with respect to jump instruction, see, let's observe this. This is the jump instruction. Let us say I've written the instruction as SJMP L1. For example, the instruction is SJMP L1. Okay. Since the program, when it is executing the present instruction, it is already pointing to the next instruction. Okay. So with respect to PC, if the jump is backward direction, what is backward direction? Jump the instructions which are already executed by the microcontroller. Okay. If the jump is towards those instructions which are already executed by the microcontroller, then the range is 128 bytes. Okay, so that is called as a relative limit. Okay, if it is in the forward direction, it is only 127. Why 127 is because considering PC as 0th reference, it is 127, total 128 on the forward direction. In the backward direction, considering the jump instruction as -1 towards the target address, maximum it can take jump is 128 up to -1. Minus means backward direction. Okay, 128. Okay, so it can jump 128 in the forward direction and 128 in the negative backward direction. Okay, absolute jump range. So there can be bit jump as well as byte jump. The difference we'll see later. Okay, so this absolute jump considers page. This is one page. You can see the dotted line here. Let me try to use another color. Okay, this you see this dotted line, guys. So this is one page. Okay, this one page is 2 kilobytes. One page is 2 kilobytes. Okay, so absolute jump can take jump anywhere within the 2 kilobyte range. Okay, whereas this long jump, next type of range is the jump instruction is long jump. It can take jump anywhere within the memory, within the 64 kilobyte of complete memory. 64 kilobytes. This diagram corresponds to 64 kilobyte. But in practical, conditions, the manufacturer provides only 4 kilobytes of memory. Usually, 64 kilobytes, very rare because it is very space consuming. The memory is the largest, component in the processor. So space is a limitations. Okay. But this is the understanding for 64 kilobyte of memory. This is possible. Okay. So this is how it is. So this is the jump ranges. Okay, in 805 microcontroller. Okay. So we'll discuss now instructions in little detail. So when you consider jump instructions, okay. So there are two classifications of jump instructions. Okay, we can classify it as unconditional jump instructions and what is known as conditional jump instructions. Okay, what is unconditional? Okay, because in C language we know what is known as go to. Okay, go to L1, for example. Okay, it doesn't matter what is the condition, it will take a jump to L1 in C language. Similarly, unconditional jump instruction in assembly language programming, it will force the compiler to jump from, let us say these are the instructions. Okay, so let us say here we have short jump instruction. The short jump is a unconditional jump instruction, SJMP L1. Okay, L1 is somewhere here, for example. Okay, when this SJMP instruction is executed, it will force the compiler to jump to L1 instruction, and it will continue from the continue execution from the L1 instruction, L1 label. L1 is a label, it's not an instruction. You can give a name for, there is no condition for the label. You can give any name. That's not a problem. Conditional jump instruction. Condition jump instruction is similar to while in C language. How does while work is while let us say while -1 or something like this. True, as long as it is true. Okay. While 1 execute set of instructions. Okay, but this is, sorry, it's not going to be a jump instruction in a C language. We can consider if if some conditions. Okay, if a is equal to 0, for example, if a is equal to 0, execute set of instructions. If it is not 0, if it is not equal to 0, come out of the loop, something like that. Okay, so in the assembly language program, conditional jump instructions, so it will check the condition. Okay, for example, I'll take one example, guys. Okay, so there are many conditional instructions we came across now, just now. In this case, I'll take one simple example, that is JC. Okay, jump if carry. Okay, so what does this instruction does is JCL1 instruction is JCL1. Okay, it will check carry. If carry bit is set to 1, it will take a jump to L1. That is the instruction L1. Okay, not instruction, sorry. Let us say the loop, the label L1 is somewhere here. It will take a jump to L1 if carry bit is set to 1. If it is not set to 1, if it is equal to 0, then it will go to the next instruction. It will automatically jump to the next instruction. It will not go to L1. Okay, so this is what is called as a conditional jump instructions. Okay, so this is what is called as a conditional jump instructions. Okay, so there are many conditional and unconditional jump instructions in the assembly programming. So we use it according to the requirement. Okay, so what are the unconditional jump instructions? It is L jump for long jump. Okay, so anywhere within the memory we can jump. It is 3-byte instruction. Okay, so that means when L jump instruction is executed, the compiler generates 3 bytes. It will generate 3 bytes and it will store in the memory. Okay, so in the ROM space, if you observe, it is something like this. In the ROM space, okay, in the ROM space, so 3 locations are allocated for long jump instructions. 3 locations are allocated for LJMP instructions. If it is absolute jump instructions, then 2 locations are allocated. 2 locations are allocated for absolute jump instructions. Sorry for this, absolute jump instructions. Okay, whereas only 1 location will be allocated for relative jump instructions or short jump instructions. It's also called as a short jump instruction. Relative jump is also called as a short jump. In some authors, they refer a relative jump as a short jump. That's all. Okay, so that is LJMP instruction. Similarly, we have AJMP, absolute jump instructions. This is for the what you call that is absolute jump range. That is 2 kilobyte range. Okay. Next comes the short jump. This is for the relative range. Okay. So this is anywhere within the within a distance of 128 locations. 128 bytes or 128 locations. Okay. So these are the what is known as 3 unconditional jump instructions available in 8051 microcontrollers. Okay. What about conditional jump instructions? Okay, conditional jump instructions, as we have understood, that depends on the conditions. Okay, if a condition is met, it will take a jump. Okay. So what are the various instructions, guys? Various instructions are JBC, jump if. Okay, yes, these instructions, I'll execute one by one, and we'll see the output for each instructions. Okay, so that there are many instructions. Okay, so we have to discuss each instruction in little detail. We'll take up each instruction in detail. Okay, so that's why I'm not going into detail right now, but I'll discuss each instruction in detail. Okay, so bit level jump. There is another possibility in a jump instruction, what is known as a bit level jump instructions. Bit level jump instruction checks the condition of a bit, and if the condition is true, it will take a jump to the target address. Okay, example is JC. Just of course it's not listed here. JC, jump if carry, because it is checking the carry. Okay, bit level jump instructions. Okay. And similarly, we have what is known as a subroutine call. Please, just a second. I'll check if the instructions are explained here. That's fine. But call instructions. Okay, LJMP. Um, okay. So this is the okay. Um, call instructions. Is it explained here? Oh yeah, here it is. And then I'll discuss here. Okay. Somebody is on the line. This just a second. In case. Yeah, here we go. So this I'll continue from here in this document. This is similar thing, but given point wise. So all condition jump instructions are short jump instructions. This just now we discussed. All condition jump instructions are short jump instructions range. Short jump instructions. The range is only 128 to plus 128 to minus one. Sorry, minus 128 to plus 127 range. Okay, so this we discussed. Yes, next is long jump instructions. For this we discussed. One point to be highlighted. 3 byte. This is a 3 byte instruction. Out of 3 bytes, yes, I showed something like this. Out of 3 bytes. So these are the 3 byte. The first byte is the opcode. Opcode for LJMP instruction. Opcode for LJMP or L call, whatever it is. Okay. So I'm taking LJMP as example. It can be L call also. Okay. Because when LJMP instruction is executed, this instruction has to be converted into binary zeros and ones. Okay. So that 1 byte is stored in the first location. The next two locations or next 2 bytes, second and third byte, represent 16-bit target address because it can take any jump anywhere within the memory. Second and third byte represents the target address. Okay, so this is the lower byte of the program counter. This is the upper byte of the program counter. Okay, the question here is why the opcode first? Why not the, let's say for example, lower byte first, upper byte first, and then the opcode? Okay, in this case, compiler will not be able to understand. So if it executes opcode, then it understands it corresponds to LJMP. If it is LJMP, it understands that that means next to two locations are address. It will understand that next to two locations are address. For example, absolute jump. First location is opcode. Okay. So when the opcode is executed, it understands that it is absolute jump. Then it will treat next location as the address. It will not treat next to two locations as address. It will treat only next location as the address, target address. Okay, it is nothing but target address. Okay, so thereby opcode execution is very important because by executing opcode, it understands what is the instruction. Based on that, it will treat next locations or next two locations as the target address. Similarly, short jump instruction, first byte is the opcode. In the second byte, because the short jump is a the relative jump, so second byte is the relative target address. Okay, it's only 2-byte instruction. It will treat the second byte as the target address. Okay, it will straight away jump to that particular address in the internal ROM space. Okay, this next is target address. How to calculate, we'll discuss that separately. Okay, assemblers will generate an error stating that jump is out. Okay, if the target address is more than 128-byte locations, when we're using short jump, then the assembler generates an error. For example, let us say, okay, let us say this is the where is that page? Should we use this page? Okay, no, this is not possible. Okay, I'll take another page. Okay, let us say, for example, guys, here. So let us say this is the internal ROM space, for example. Okay, so in this case, what happens is a 64 kilobyte. Let us assume that it is a 64 kilobyte memory. Let us say at the address 0001, for example, 0001, SJMP instruction is stored. For example, SJMP instruction is stored. Okay, the target location is labeled as L1. L1 is somewhere in this far off address. L1. Let's say L1 is some address. Some instruction. Add A comma B, for example. Add A comma B. The address of this L1 is FF0CH, for example. FF0CH. Okay. The range is behind plus 127. Okay. Then Compiler generates error. The assembler will generate a error. This will result in error. So thereby, this target address L1 should be within the range of 127. Should be within the range of 127. Okay, 127 on one side and 127 on the other side. Okay, so that's how it is. Okay, then compiler is okay. Otherwise, the compiler says sorry, I cannot take that jump for a short jump instruction. Not possible. Okay, so this program I'll explain later. Okay. Next type of instruction is what is called as a call instruction. So this is something, this is what they call instruction. This I'll explain with respect to this document, because there may be some programs here, so that will help us in understanding, okay, better. Okay, so we'll yeah, call instructions. Okay, so what is a call instruction? Okay, call instruction is used to call a subroutine. Is used to call a sub. What is a subroutine is that we have understood in the addressing mode. You know, when we discussed addressing mode, subroutine is nothing but a set of instructions which are repeated required number of times to execute a task. Subroutine is similar to functions in C. Subroutine, this we have discussed in detail, guys. Correct? That is, how do we call a function in C language? How to, you know? So what is a function? Okay, something like that. We had a detailed discussion on that when we discussed addressing modes. Okay, and if you have any doubt, you can go back to that video if the video is available for that class. You know, because few classes I have not recorded because I used to forget then. If it is recorded, the video is there. You can look into that. No problem. Okay, subroutine represents a functions in assembly language program. To call a subroutine, how do we call a function in C languages? Using its name. Using its name. Similarly, in assembly language program, we call a subroutine using its label. For example, L1. Let us say we identify 10 instructions as L1. 10 instructions as L1. Okay. Then whenever we call L1, let us say L call L1, for example, L call L1, it will go to this subroutine, that is the instruction starting from L1, label L1. It will execute this 10 instructions and it should go back to the main program. That is calling program. Okay, so that's how the subroutine works in assembly language program. So subroutines are often used to perform tasks that need to be performed frequently. That's a repeated task, you know. It's something like functions in C. If you want to calculate the prime of a number, you know, we'll call a function called as prime. It will give the prime number directly. That's how it is. Okay. So this makes the program more structured in addition to saving memory. Okay. So instead of repeating the programs, you know, something like this, you know, let's say these are the set of instructions. If you want to this again, instead of repeating the same instructions, we can call it as L1, and we can call L1 in from anywhere within the memory, you know, within the program memory. There is ROM space. So it will save the memory. Two types of jump instructions. Subroutine call instructions. Subroutine call instructions. L call, long call. It is again a 3-byte instruction. First byte represents the operational code. Okay. The second and third bytes are used for the address of the target locations. For example, let us say here, let us say we are calling L call, L1. Okay. So the target address is somewhere here. So this target address is stored along with the instruction, along with the operational code. Okay. So the number of bytes required to store the L call instruction is 3 bytes. First byte is operational code. Next 2 bytes are the target address, which corresponds to the subroutine. First okay. So subroutine means it will corresponds to the first instruction of the subroutine. Okay. Let's say, for example, there are 10 lines in the subroutine. It will always corresponds to the address of the first instruction of the subroutine. So subroutines are located anywhere within the 64 kilobyte address space. You know, because it's a L call, it can jump anywhere within the memory. It can identify the target address anywhere within the memory. That is, compiler can identify if L call instruction is used. A slight modification in absolute call. It is only 2-byte instruction, similar to a jump in jump instructions. That is, that can be called as absolute jump range. 11 bits are used to address the target address. 5 bits are used to represent the page. So it is a jump within the page. That is, the subroutine is located within the page, and each page is 2 kilobyte in range. Okay, so the subroutine should be available within the range 2 kilobyte range if a call instruction is used. So that's why generally what happens, programmer prefers L call. But the only disadvantage of L call is that it will take 3 byte locations. But we need not bother about jump range. It will automatically taken care by the compiler. Okay, so that's the advantage of L call, but it has a disadvantage also. So when subroutine is called, control is transferred to that particular subroutine. Okay, that is let's say for example, something like this. Let me take one more page. Okay, let us say these are the n number of 10 instructions, for example. Okay, okay, let's say this is the complete program. So here we are calling l call l1, for example. Okay, here is the l1 subroutine l1. Okay, okay, let me use another color. Okay, l1 starting from here up to somewhere here, for example. Okay, so this corresponds to subroutine l1. Okay, yes, what happens is that when the l1 subroutine is called, the compiler, okay, because when l call instruction is being executed, PC will be pointing to next instruction, but we have to force the PC to point to this instruction because the we are calling subroutine L1. The content of PC, whatever stored before the execution of L1, because when the L call instruction is being executed, the content of PC is 16-bit address. It is pointing to the next instruction. Now to point to this location, the PC content has to be changed. See, we have only one PC, program counter. We don't have 100 PC. Because of one PC, to point to this location also we need the same PC, same program counter. But after executing the subroutine, we should go back to this instruction only. There is next instruction next to L call. How does the compiler knows, or how does the assembler knows the return address of the subroutine? So the return address of the main program. Say, for example, in the C language we call function. Okay, we execute functions. We should go back to the main program which had called the function, F1. Okay, so that return address is important. Okay, so what does the microcontroller does is, whenever subroutine is called, so the control is transferred to the subroutine, of course. Okay, but before the control jumps to the subroutine, the control means the microcontroller, before it goes to the subroutine, what it does is it will save the address of the next instruction next to the L call instruction, which is stored in the PC on the top of stack memory. Because whenever the compiler comes back from the subroutine, it should know where to start from, where to go back to the which instruction to continue from, which point to continue the execution in the main program. Okay, so thereby the content of PC will be saved on the top of stack memory, and the content of PC after saving on the top of stack memory, it is updated, it is changed to the target address, which is indicated by the name of the subroutine, which is part of the L call instruction. Okay, so thereby the operation performed is, it will save the compiler will save the content of the program counter on the top of stack. Why do we say on the top of stack memory? We know that in the 8051 microcontroller, the stack memory grows upwards. That is from lower address to higher address. That's why we always use the term on the top of stack memory. In some processor, it is at the bottom of the stack memory, because the stack memory grows downwards. That is from higher address to lower address. In some other type of microcontroller, okay, saves on the top of stack memory the address of the instructions immediately below the L call, which is pointed by the program counter. Okay. So after saving the content of PC on the top of stack memory, it begins to fetch instructions from the new location. The new location is pointed by the L1. That is name of the subroutine. Which is part of the L call instruction. That means microcontroller will continue the execution from the location pointed by the L1 or name of the subroutine. It continues the execution of the subroutine. Okay. Yeah. Let us say the microcontroller has successfully completed the execution of the subroutine. Okay. After the completion of execution of subroutine, it should go back to the main program. Somebody should tell the compiler that a subroutine is execution is over. You should go back to the main program. How to achieve this? Because in C language, what happens? The function, any function in C language always starts with open curly bracket and close curly bracket. Okay, open curly bracket refers to start of the function. Close curly bracket refers to end of the function. Okay, so in the C language, whenever the compiler comes across closing curly brackets, it understands that the function execution is over. It will jump to the main program. Okay, in assembly language program, separate instruction called as return instruction is used. This RET stands for return. RET stands for return instruction. This return instruction forces the compiler to go back to the point from where it had jumped to the subroutine. From which point it had taken a jump to the subroutine. Okay, so the control will go back to the caller. That means the point where the jump was taken. Okay, which is from where the execution should is supposed to be continued. Okay, so every subroutine needs RET instruction at the end of the instruction. So at the end of the subroutine. Okay, that means the last instruction in any subroutine is RET instruction. If RET instruction is not used, for example, let's say we forgot to write RET instruction. Okay, compiler continue to execute this subroutine. After subroutine there are some main program instructions. It will continue this main program instruction. It will never go back to the calling program, or it will never go back to the point from where it had left off. Okay, so thereby return instructions has to be used. This return instruction execution, okay, will take the control back to this point. But how does the compiler know this address? Because see, when return instruction is being executed, PC is pointing to the next instruction. So that means the content of PC now has to be updated. Okay, so to update the PC content to point to the location in the main program from where the execution should continue, whose address is already there on the top of stack memory. There is two locations, 2-byte address is already saved on the top of stack memory. There is PC low as well as PCI, okay, which is stored on the top of stack memory, will be copied to the program counter first. That means the content of PC will be updated. It will be replaced with the content of program counter, which is stored in the stack memory. Once it is restored, that is when the content of PC which corresponds to the return address is restored in the program counter, the microcontroller will start executing the instructions from the address pointed by the PC. So this content of stack memory, which was storing which stores the PC, the content of PC, is the return address from the subroutine. Return address means after executing the subroutine, it should go back to this return address. That means the instruction from where the instruction execution should continue. Okay, so these are the operations performed by the microcontroller whenever the return instruction is executed. Okay, yes, this program will see. I mean, I'll execute this program and I'll explain. It's something like this. Let us understand this. This is how it happens. Okay, guess I'll take 2 more minutes. Okay, so first, when lcall is called, when lcall instruction is called, the content of PC. Let us say, for example, it is some address. There is 000bh. Okay, 00. That means it is. Let us say this is the lcall instruction. Lcall L1. Okay, so the next instruction address is 000b, which is pointed by PC program counter. So this, but L1 is somewhere in the memory. It is somewhere far off in the memory. But the next instruction is 000b location. It is next instruction is stored in 00b, which is pointed by PC. Okay. So thereby, this content of PC should be stored on the top of stack memory. We know that stack memory starts from 07h, but before it will store the data. Stack memory is pointed by stack pointer. Initially, it stores 07h. Before it will load the data on the stack memory, it will increment by 1. That is SP plus 1, stack pointer plus 1. It becomes 07 plus 1. It becomes 08. It becomes 08. Okay. That means in the location 08, PC low, there is lower byte of the PC will be stored first. Okay. It will increment by one more value. It will increment by one more location. Now it points to 09h. In this location, upper byte of PC will be stored. That is PCH. PCH corresponds to upper byte. Okay. So to achieve this, wow, the microcontroller makes use of push instructions. Two push instructions to copy the content of program counter on top of stack memory. On top of stack memory. Okay. Okay. So now when a return instruction is executed, what happens? Okay. Because I think that is in a separate diagram. Let me check if that is available in this document. Okay. So I think it's not given. It's not given. Okay, let us understand quickly with respect to this diagram only. When return instruction is executed, what happens is that it will copy the content of these two locations, which is the PCH and PCLO, to the program counter. To the program counter. Okay. So program counter PCL and PCH will be copied from the stack memory. So PCH is copied into the upper byte of the program counter. This is program counter, and PCL, that is the lower byte which is stored at the location 08, will be copied into lower byte of the program counter. Okay, and that indicates the target address from where the execution continues. Okay, sorry, I think it took some time because in the beginning, students joining, it takes some time to start. Okay. Anyway, thanks for joining. Stay home, stay safe. See you in the next class. Take care. Bye.